You first. Well. You first. Well, I don't know.
Well, sorry about a slightly late start. Maddie is off grabbing herself a beer. Yeah, Dapper's a professional. It's actually going to happen a couple times. One, because I actually tried to start the show, failed, and then started the show poorly. So there's 2 drinks there. So that's fun. Maddie will be back momentarily with a beer. All right, so today we are here for Matt with Maddie 42. Matt with Maddie 42. So on this show, we take a look at the claims of one of the Matts. Usually, well, it's almost always either Matt Powell or Raw Matt. Today, it is Raw Matt. We have gone through 20 minutes and 24 seconds of this video, and we still have an hour and 5 seconds. There's Maddie.
Hi.
Hello. So, you might be wondering, what is with the super chat goal? Because normally we do something like, oh, we'll unleash the guests. But here's the thing. Maddie isn't normally the one who's trying to restrain herself from dropping F-bombs. So I feel like it's not as valuable for her if we all do that. So instead, given the kind of time it is, and by which I mean don't mean the time on the clock, I just mean this time in history.
Yes,
shall we say.
the horrors.
Yeah. I have 2 shot glasses here. One of them has the symbol of the Calderi, I don't know, corporatocracy. I don't remember what the actual title is. But they're from EVE Online. They're the corporate bad guys. Also have another shot glass with the Amar symbol. They're the theocratic bad guys. Who also have, in my opinion, the nicest looking ships in the game, which is why when I was playing EVE Online, I tended to play with Amar ships. Because they were all, like, had curved lines and had, like, cool gold colors and shot lasers. And that's just cool. So, yeah. Anyway. Also, they have really cool names for their ships. So, there's that.
Yeah.
So, the plan is, if we get that Super Chat goal to 15, I will take one of these shots. And if we get it to 30, I will take the other one of these shots. And if we don't, then remaining shots will have to be poured back into the rum bottle via the funnel of shame. And it is the shame of the audience for not getting us. And it's okay. It's not really a big deal. But Metageeky Platypus Librarian has before the show started, actually gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. So let's take 5 drinks for that. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I am drinking a Dark and Stormy that has the last dregs of my pineapple juice in it, because I had pineapple juice that was probably going to go bad soonish.
Yeah. I have not been able to make like a proper beer run, so we're down to whatever beer is left in my fridge.
Uh-oh.
So I have 1 Native Amber, which is a red IPA. So it's honestly more hoppy than I prefer. But my dad really likes it, so I had it around because he was visiting, which is why it's been in the back of my fridge for a little bit.
Fair.
Yeah.
Also, Carnival Frog has just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships.
My goodness. All right.
Uh-huh. I had to go get another drink. So.
And we also owe a Dapper as a professional drink.
Oh, I already had 2 of those.
Okay, cool. I'll catch up.
There you go. So, as you can tell, we do a bit of a drinking game on this Tuesday show, and the goal is basically just to have fun, because on Tuesdays, we respond to what's generally the lowest tier of creationist arguments. Right? This is not time for, like, Nathaniel Jeanson to talk about haplogroups and, rooted or unrooted phylogenetic trees. Like, that's for, like, when it's time to script and I actually do have to think about something. Because as much as it is true that there is a little difference between creationism and the flat earth, it is also the case that some of their arguments require more technical refutations than others. But Raw Matt is a man who doesn't know what a molar is and who thinks he's an ordained Essene. So, like, we're not dealing with the cream of the crop here, right?
No.
He's also a man who thought apparently seriously that maybe eating was just optional, and you could just stay alive indefinitely without eating calories.
Yeah.
You know, because you're just going to get charged by the Holy Spirit through your lungs. Which, first of all, hey, Holy Spirit, I would rather that you not be specifically in my lungs. Thank you. If you're, like, feel free to just suffuse the universe, but, like, please don't just be specifically in my lungs. That's weird.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I have my emotional support fox for tonight.
Ah, there you go.
Bonus points to anybody who knows what he's merch from.
The merch store.
The merch store.
So, we have some drinking rules, and before we go right into them, I would first want to say, hey, if you decide to play along, first of all, you do not need to play along with anything intoxicating. If you want to play along with water, maybe because, you know, it's like a few years ago and you're pregnant, and
yeah.
Or maybe you just don't like alcohol, or you're allergic, or you just don't want to drink today, and so you want to have water, you want to have soda, juice, tea, coffee, you want to take a hit from your vape pen, you got a bowl of chips that you want to take one chip out of for every drink. All of it's fine. You want to high five whoever you're sitting next to, except maybe if you're on like a bus or a plane where it's a stranger and that's just really weird, don't do that. You know, make sure it's someone you know and who is okay with high fives. But like, whatever it is you want to do that is safe and consensual to celebrate the drinks, even if it's nothing, that's fine. But if you just do decide that you want to consume something that is intoxicating, what I'm going to say is, hey, pace yourself. These drinks are not the shots. That's why my shots are at the side for the super chat goals. So, yeah, don't take a whole shot. Don't finish your drink for each one. Don't think that 12 drinks means you need to have had 12 beers. Yeah, know your brand.
Don't text your ex.
Afterwards, don't go out, don't text your ex, don't operate heavy machinery, don't drive a car, don't fly a plane. You know, none of that stuff.
Okay, this is now the part of the show where I try to do all the drinking rules off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ready. Number 1, Dapper's a professional. We drink anytime Dapper makes a production mistake. Number 2.
We have to give the full caveat on that one.
Oh, it can't be like a Google problem or a power problem or an act of God. Dapper himself has to make a mistake.
There it is.
Okay. 2. We're gonna drink for every gifted membership. Unless the number gets really big, and then we'll figure something out. We'll probably finish our drink.
Mm-hmm.
3. We're gonna drink anytime anyone super chats or membership milestone chats, something to the effect of AIG is a bag of dicks. My favorites are alliterative. We're also gonna do take a drink anytime super chat, memberstone milestone chat with Godzilla or Mothra or any of the other big monster boys. We'll also drink anytime Godzilla or Mothra come around audibly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all the chat ones?
Yeah.
Okay, so then going on to the actual creationist things, because that's the second half of this. 1, there's anytime somebody confuses Lucy with a larger taxa that she is a part of, even if that is like her species or her genus.
Taxa is plural, taxon is singular. It's Greek.
Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, I used it correctly.
No, you said a larger taxa. It's a larger taxon.
Oh, with a larger taxon. I meant with one of the larger tax. Okay, never mind. We're good. Well, listen, what my brain said and what my mouth said were different, and I don't feel like I should be held accountable for that. Okay, that one we only do once though, because if they do it, then they're gonna do it a lot, and it's gonna be a problem. And what's that one called?
Ad hominid.
Ad hominid. That's the ad hominid. Okay. This is the 7th one. The 7th one is Trojan source. So if they cite a paper that not only doesn't support their point, it directly contradicts it. Ramat doesn't cite things very often though, so we don't get to do that one very much. We'll also take a drink anytime, this is the 8th one, anytime Ramat says something that's just so stupid, we have to cool our brains off. Number 9, We'll take a drink if he says something factually correct out of his own brain. Not reading something, but something that's no joke correct. We'll take a drink for that. Number 10. We'll take a drink for any time that for a joke that doesn't land or a story that didn't happen. And so if he's telling a story that sounds like r/shower thoughts, then we'll take a drink for that. Or if he tells a joke and no one laughs. The 11th. Wait, is there an 11th rule?
Yeah.
Okay, the 11th rule is we take a drink. Oh yeah, anytime we reference an unfortunately relevant political party from 1930s Germany, or Columbine or other pew pew violence,
which is more often
a
Matt Powell thing, but
it is more of a Matt Powell thing.
He loves to just jump into the Columbine shooting, just at a whim for no reason.
Yeah.
There's
Listen,
one more.
If you watch, oh man, we should have a whole day where I pretend to armchair psychoanalyze Matt Powell and why he's obsessed with Columbine, because I have theories.
But there's one that you're missing.
There's one that I'm missing. Okay. And it's a thing Ramat can do, right?
Not really. It's a bit of a thing we can do.
It's something we can do. It says if we guess what he's going to say next.
Yes, where it's not very, very obvious, right?
Yeah.
Which is a judgment call. But here's the thing, guys. The drink counter and all the drinks and all the rules are just made up, and they're just for fun. And
so we can have fun.
Yeah. None of it's actually important. Nothing bad happens if we get it wrong, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh hey, and I have a small spiel. Friends, Romans, countrymen, gather round. Hey team, hey champ, I see you. Outside are the horrors. But you know what we're gonna do right now? Right now, we need to hang out with our friends and take a deep breath and collect. So I want everybody to go to the starship that is your brain, right? And you're in the captain's seat. And I want you to just silence those alarms. And we're going to have those alarms silenced for a couple hours. We're going to rest, recharge. We're going to have a few giggles. I'm going to get absurdly mad for your entertainment. Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
I've had 3 sips of beer. Excuse me, I've had 12 sips of beer. And this is where I'm at, so.
Ben Dahlia, 1998, who's been a member for 58 months, says maybe the young Earth creationists will finally explain what thermodynamics have to do with organisms having a descendant population with different genes over generations. No, they won't. So the reason that, by the way, this has this title is because Matt was previously in this video trying to explain away the heat problem by saying that the ocean would absorb the heat, to which I respond, yes, Matt, but that's the problem. Because when you boil water, it's the water that's absorbing the heat. And if you're trying to live in a boat on the boiling water, the water absorbing the heat is in fact the problem and not the solution to the heat problem. So it's kind of like saying, don't worry about sticking your hand in lava. Your hand will absorb the heat. Yeah, it will. And then you won't have a hand anymore.
You won't have a hand. Yeah. Oh. So the heat problem, team, the problem has nothing to do with anything that is on Earth. We have to take the heat and take it away from Earth. Yeah. Because Earth isn't melted, right?
Nor has it ever been melted.
And, well, it was that one time.
Well, okay, but since then.
Yeah, since it formed, it has not been melted.
And every single flood model would predict that it would at best melt. Melting is the optimistic scenario for every flood model.
Yeah.
More likely, it mostly vaporizes. We're talking about flashing from iron in the crust to iron gas and possibly plasma.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's not good.
Yes, and thermodynamics in the thumbnail is intentional, because that is a thing I've heard a creationist say. Well, what about thermodynamics? Well, buddy, if you think that you need to explain thermodynamics, I feel like you don't know enough about any of this to have an opinion.
if you feel like you have to explain thermodynamics, then you might show up on a Tuesday night stream.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Yeah, if you're the kind of person
Yeah.
who says that, well, hey guys, I have a day dedicated to people just like you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna hit play now that we are through the drinking rules, and yeah, this is Matt who's gonna be talking. He most recently was talking about how he thinks there was a dinosaur peninsula in the middle of North America because basically that's the part of America that has surviving Mesozoic strata. That's basically it. And for some reason, he has taken that to mean that there was a dinosaur peninsula.
Okay, I have a very important question.
Mm-hmm.
In Raw Matt's worldview, let's say you're gone from your house, like you leave on vacation, and you forgot that you had ordered a bunch of packages while you were away, right? So when you leave your house, there's no packages on your porch, and when you come back, there's 5 different packages on your porch, right? And they're all stacked on top of each other, right? And like one's from Amazon, and then there's a FedEx one, and then there's a US Post Office one, and then an Amazon, right? Like they're not all from the same, not all the boxes are the same. Does he think that the only way for that to happen was that all of the boxes arrived at the same time?
I mean, based on how he treats geology, yeah, basically.
Cool.
Or at the very least, they all came on the same day.
Yeah, they had to all come on the same day. Like, just, yeah. So...
if they came on different days, then...
that doesn't make any sense. How would they even have gotten there?
Yeah, exactly. They all had to come... they probably also came on the same truck.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
like,
how
only
often...
one event can cause things.
Right. How often does he see more than one delivery truck there at a time? Never.
Like, he's never seen more than one delivery truck there.
I mean, to be fair, I've never seen more than one delivery truck at my place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it all had to come on the same truck. And I know that you think that some of them are Amazon delivered and some of them are USPS delivered and some of them are UPS and FedEx. No.
Yeah.
That's just big delivery trying to trick you into thinking there's actually competing delivery services.
Yeah. By the way, team, if you see me looking down like this and kind of give a look, this is where the baby monitor is, and I'm currently in a battle of wits against my toddler regarding bedtime.
A losing battle of wits.
I'm losing, to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got some really good points. Like, I need you, mommy. And Hannah sad, right? And also, I've never been tired.
Ever. Not one time.
Ever. Not one time. So. I know.
All right, so let's hit play.
The earlier flood deposits, the first 3 megasequences, do not seem to have deposited much material. Only a few hundred yards of sediment remain, and in many places, no deposition is left at all. Deposits thousands...
Okay, so... no deposition is left at all? Does he mean none of the sediment that was deposited is there because it was eroded? Because no sediment no deposition is left at all is a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I also was going to say, hey, look, he correctly identified a peninsula, but I don't know if he made this slide.
So first of all, no, this is taken from Dan Biddle of Genesis Apologetics, who is, as far as I can tell, the originator of this argument. Because, well, quite frankly, most creationists who talk about fossils are actually better at like stratigraphy than Matt or Dan Biddle are. Despite the fact that none of them ever give pushback on this. They just don't talk about it. Because why give pushback if it's helping your propaganda, right?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to understand some of this map. Like the random 3 kilometer, 1 kilometer labels.
I think that's supposed to be a depth.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is ocean covering.
Yeah, so the blue into the green, like the blue to green, sort of like heat map looking thing, I believe is supposed to be an ocean depth thing. And then the yellow is supposed to represent the Dinosaur Peninsula. But I don't know what the green, like the solid green that's overlaid over that is supposed to be. Because there's no key, so it's not clear what anything means. Also, it's not clear why the edges of the heat map are where they are. Like, why don't they extend farther south into like Louisiana, and Texas, and Florida, and east into like South Carolina and North Carolina and Virginia and Delaware? I don't know.
Yeah.
But they do completely cover Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire and most of Massachusetts and, you know, most of upstate New York. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually a problem that we've come across with a lot of raw mats images on screen. Is it's not clear whether or not or how they're supposed to relate to the words he's speaking. Now, this one is a little bit better. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because my guess is that this is somehow related to, like, the yellow and green, right? It certainly appears like it's supposed to be representing land masses.
Yes. Although it's also possible that this is actually taken from a real scientific paper where these things represent something absolutely unrelated to anything that raw math's talking about, and that they were just relabeled.
That's true. But the only other thing I could think of would be, because it seems like, like this Dinosaur Peninsula bit is laid on top of a heat map, and that heat map may be showing locations of dinosaur fossils?
It doesn't seem like it, because that's... Okay. I mean, unless we're including a lot of ichnofossils, because a lot of what's on there is not areas with a lot of dinosaur fossils.
But it might have ichnofossils.
Yeah, so one thing is, like Eastern North America has almost no dinosaur fossils at all, but it has a fair few ichnofossils. Like, you can find dinosaur tracks in Eastern North America. Virtually no body fossils. Whereas the heat map has some pretty significant amounts there. My guess is that this is, actually, as I'm thinking about it, my guess is that this was constructed by taking a completely unrelated figure and then sticking new labels onto it, while keeping the old labels about kilometers that just I don't even know what they were originally supposed to represent. They might have been elevation.
Right. Yeah, it could be trying to denote elevation.
Because you notice that they go up near mountains.
Yeah, because like if Dinosaur Peninsula is land, then like those little greens could be like islands or even areas where it's like a lower ocean depth.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course, you'll also notice, if we're right that that's a height map, then it means that the deepest ocean is right next to the peninsula, which is not how land and ocean works.
Not how land works.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is upsetting to me.
Yeah.
I don't like, hey guys, label your figures, please.
Yeah. And maybe also give them sources, because Raw Matt didn't make this himself.
Yeah.
Of feet thick occur east and west of this temporarily exposed peninsula that extends from Minnesota all the way down to New Mexico. Now buried across it are pre-flood wet plants and animals, including...
Okay, so this is what you get if you go to PaleoDB Navigator, which is a really cool resource, by the way. So PaleoDB keeps track of basically every published fossil find and its location, and which taxa have been assigned, which taxa have had fossils from that find assigned to them. So you can search by rock system, which is the same thing as age. Cool. You can search by taxon, and you can zoom in and around, right? So this is what happens if you search for dinosaur and you restrict it to the Jurassic. And I can tell because I know what those East Coast fossils are, and they are, in fact, tracks from Jurassic, mostly theropods.
Okay, so in my analogy from earlier, here's our first Amazon package.
Yep. Well, I guess it would technically be our second, because we should have some Triassic, but whatever, who cares?
Oh, okay.
But so that's all that this is. And I also want to point out that most of these fossils that you're looking at are not on the previous image's Dinosaur Peninsula labeled yellow area. So already, Matt is contradicting himself between those two slides. So I'm just going to take a drink for Matt being so dumb that he cannot figure out how to get two slides in a row to agree with each other.
Yeah, it's not that hard, bro.
It's really not.
Dinosaurs.
This doesn't match his slide at all. His map at all.
Exactly. It also doesn't.
This doesn't look like Dinosaur Peninsula whatsoever.
Yeah, if anything, Dinosaur Peninsula should be coming down from the south, from like Montana and like what is that, Saskatchewan over there? I don't remember. Canadians, help me out. Yeah, it's a cold place. Any place north of like
Nebraska is the cold place.
Well, I was gonna go with like Utah, but sure. I have a much lower tolerance for all that nonsense than most people do.
Well, Nebraska's not much further north than Utah.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah.
There's definitely parts of Nevada that are way too cold for me.
That's true, but also this is just evidence that I have a more Midwest view of the U.S. Like my north-south understanding of the U.S. is fully like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, right? Mm-hmm. And you think in the desert parts.
Well, I mean, I do live in the desert parts, so the places that I can easily get to are like California, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, and to a lesser extent, Colorado.
Yeah. Colorado is because it's like 12 hours away. So it's as easy for me to get to a mountain as it is to an ocean.
It's significantly easier for me to get to a mountain. Yeah. In fact, I think the nearest ocean to me is actually in the Gulf of California.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably not just going to drive down to the Gulf of California. In part because those are some of the not so great parts of Mexico to drive through. Yeah.
Fair.
The sort of western Mexico near the border, not the greatest places.
Gotcha. But you could, as a dinosaur, go on your little dinosaur feats, and I don't think anybody would bother you.
I don't know. Depends on how much money I look like I have.
Mm.
And
you could roar at them and brandish your claws.
They have guns.
But that's no match to dinosaur hide.
It absolutely is, actually. Yeah. And, hey, in a fun fact, many of those guns were supplied by the United States government.
Hey, Dapper?
Yeah?
Silence those alarms.
Fish and many birds. Thousands of dinosaur trackways up and down this peninsula, plus similar temporary...
Not where you drew the peninsula!
So not only is that not really where you drew the peninsula, but it's also not really where the maps were, where the dinosaur fossils were on the map, for the most part. There's some overlap, but like, this is a third thing that doesn't super match there. Although I do appreciate the effort that must have gone into making a sort of like 3D-ish North America animation with dinosaur tracks, which means, of course, RawMat didn't do this. Because I don't think RawMat has that capability.
This is like RawMat left for vacation for a week and came home and saw that he had a package on his step and his neighbor across the street had a FedEx and Caddy Corner was UPS, and then there was one that had been like blown in the street, and he said like, yes, I was delivered 4 packages. Right? Like,
yeah.
Ugh.
I feel like at this rate I'm gonna have to pour these shots back. That's very disappointing.
Ooh.
Exposed low areas of other continents prove that dying dinosaurs and other hardy track makers were fighting for their life.
No, Matt, it doesn't prove that, and there's a few reasons we know that. One, most of the tracks in most of North America do not show evidence of running. They are walking pace. The few that do are very obviously in a predator-prey interaction, where there is a predatory dinosaur chasing after some item that it's trying to eat. So, for instance, we have things like, like Acrocanthosaurus chasing down sauropods in Texas, or something like that, right? But again, most of the fossil trackways that we have, there is no evidence of running. So, there's that.
Also, okay, wouldn't it look very, very different? Like, how does a footprint solidify underwater during an active like flood where Matt says that like tsunamis are coming back and forth?
Yeah, that's the next thing is it doesn't.
Like in things away.
You can get footprints preserved underwater if the water is still and remains still and or dries up in the near future, while the footprints are then, covered by some other kind of strato that's usually going to have to be softer in this case for them to be uncovered at all.
Yeah.
But not during a flood. because a flood will wash that away. And if it deposits more sediment, all it's going to do is deposit more mud on top of the mud that already had the footprints in it. And I don't know if you know what happens when you pour mud on top of mud. You just get a bigger pile of mud. You don't get to preserve the distinction between the piles.
Yeah, like the only way the mud on top of mud would work is if you have mud dried out, right? Then mud. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it doesn't work at all.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, so the very fact that we have so many dinosaur footprints is in fact very, very good evidence that these rocks were not laid down during the flood.
Yeah.
Just on its own. Because the only place you can preserve tracks in a flood deposit is at the very top of the flood deposit.
Yeah.
Because generally tracks need to dry out in order to preserve at all. And we actually do have some dinosaur swim marks, right? Where we have dinosaurs that were going through a shallow pond and their feet were kicking, and as they kicked to swim, those feet dug furrows into the pond, and then later that dried out, and those marks were preserved. We have that, right? That's a thing that exists in the fossil record, is marks of dinosaurs swimming. And one of the reasons that we also know that it's swimming and not just walking is also because it generally has tail drag marks, which we don't normally get in dinosaur fossils. But if the dinosaur is pitched up because its lungs are at the front of its body, that pitches the tail down, and so the tail will intersect with the substrate. So we actually know what dinosaur swim marks look like, and they don't look like most of the fossil tracks.
Also, Triceratops volcanoes don't equal pointy fire rocks says maybe they're slow and gentle tsunamis.
Yeah, well, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what I'm forgetting.
We need them to be geologically slow tsunamis.
Well,
not...
You know, that I don't know how that would work, but...
So we need a few 100,000 years at least. And that's still geologically fast, isn't it?
We probably... So if all you do is just add up the minimum amount of time it would take for all the sediment on Earth to collect and lithify, we're probably looking at a few tens of millions of years. And that's just if we assume like there's never actually been any erosion, there's never been any pause in sedimentation, there's never been any subduction that's removed significant amounts of sedimentation that we no longer have a record of. If we assume that all the sediment that we have found is literally all the sedimentation that has ever occurred, and there has never been a time when there was not deposition or when there was net erosion, then we can probably get to a few tens of millions of years. But if we don't
get it down to a few tens of millions of years.
If we assume that any of those assumptions should be relaxed, like maybe erosion happened in the past, suddenly those estimates balloon to crazy numbers for a young Earth creationist. So, it is hard to explain the degree to which a young Earth is just not tenable. It's just not a thing, guys. It's just as much an option for the reality of Earth as a flat Earth is. The difference, though, is that with a flat Earth, you can most people have the capability to go out and test a flat Earth on their own without purchasing anything that they don't already own.
Yeah.
It's not so true for young Earth creationism.
Wading through heavy mud and sediments and water that was rising to try and kill them. Another piece of evidence, we have what was called a dinosaur stampede of fossil footprints in Australia.
That still doesn't help you. Pointing out other fossil tracks isn't going to help, but okay, sure.
Presumed to have been made on land. The tracks were recently reinterpreted to have been made in water.
By whom, Matt? Where? When? Science Side Up, who's been a member for 41 months, sends a Godzilla, Mothra, Ghidorah, Godzilla, Mothra, which means we take a drink because I think someone is thirsty.
Thanks, team.
Yep.
Many of the tracks being made by swimming dinosaurs. The report came out in the January 8th.
Oh, hold on.
Where's it?
January 8th.
Wrong.
Journal of Vertebrate Paleontology.
Oh, you know what? This is probably the one I was talking about with the dinosaur tracks in the water. Yep. Okay.
Do you want me to get on Scholar because I have access to more things than you?
Sure.
Okay. Hold on.
Documenting a fossil site in Western Australia.
Nope. I need to see the title of that paper. Evaluation of the Lark Quarry Dinosaur track site. Okay. No longer a stampede? Okay, cool. Found it. This is from 2013. Man, this is from this millennium.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive for a creationist.
Okay, I'm just going to read the abstract really fast.
Okay.
The Lake Quarry Dinosaur track site has previously been recognized as recording the stampede of a mixed herd of dozens of small theropod and ornithopod dinosaurs. A re-examination of trackway materials reveals that the small theropod-type tracks previously assigned to the ichnotaxon Scartopus, Skartopus.
I'd probably pronounce it Scartopus, but I don't actually know.
Okay. Can co-occur within individual trackways of the ornithopod-type tracks assigned to Wintonopus.
Sure.
Moreover, in singular deep tracks where the overall surface outline resembles the first one, the Scatopus, the base of the track can also resemble Wintopus. Man, I want to make that sound like
Wintonopus. Whereas the Wintonopus holotype may reflect the bipedal anatomy of a short-toed or subungular-grade ornithopod trackmaker. The elongate toe impressions typically associated with Scartopus, including the holotype, primarily provide information on digit movements through the sediment, and in many instances may represent swim traces. The morphological differences between the two ichnotaxa are therefore not taxonomically significant, and we formally propose that Scartopus australis should be considered a junior synonym for Wintopus latimorum. Longitudinal depth profiles through the tracks indicate that many are swim traces. The sedimentology and that's as far as I have.
And lithology of Lake Quarry further indicates the site represents a time-averaged assemblage formed in a fluvial-dominated floodplain under variable subaqueous conditions, with the parallel orientation of the numerous trackways formed by track makers under the influence of downstream current flow. This indicates that the fluvial environment may have been a preferred route for hydrophilic bipedal dinosaurs. We thus do not consider the Lake Quarry dinosaur track site to represent a stampede. Instead, this track site may represent part of a riverine setting where the water was shallow, in which small dinosaurs swam and or waded. So what this is saying is that they used to think that this was a stampede of two different types of dinosaurs. Now they think that this is actually a preferred pathway, the dinosaur version of a deer track, right? Mm-hmm. A deer path through the woods,
and also likely only one species.
And also, only one species.
While we get into that, Joshua Geese and Eris have both separately gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships.
Cheers!
So here we go: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Mm.
You know, Maddie, we gotta educate you on some American Sign Language, which has an unambiguous way to count to 10 on one hand.
Oh, that's true.
After you get to 5, you just start touching a finger to the pinky from your. We start touching a finger to your thumb from the pinky, then moving back towards the index finger. So 6 is your pinky and your thumb, then 7 is your ring finger, and then 10 is just a fist, which has a shaking motion. Yeah, that's all you need. Also, typically, instead of using the index, middle, and ring finger for 3, American Sign Languages use the thumb, index finger, and middle finger, because the other one is also W in finger spelling. So keep that less ambiguous. No.
That makes sense.
But if you're not finger spelling, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Okay, so this is saying that it doesn't look like this is a stampede. It's one species that preferred to follow this river, right? And the younger or smaller members of this species had to swim for part of it. But note that not all the dinosaurs were swimming, only the little ones. And it also seems like they think that this is not like all of the tracks weren't laid down in a singular event.
Right. And
it
also,
seems like
they're very clear that this is a fluvial environment, which means it's going to be relatively low energy and not a flood very significantly.
Sorry, can you define fluvial for me?
Basically, fluvial just means of or having to do with rivers. It's a synonym for riverine.
Okay, yeah, so they're forging a river.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Which, if you know anything about the Oregon Trail, is a very dangerous thing to do.
It's very dangerous to do, especially right after the spring snow melts.
Yeah. You might lose your wagon, which has all of your smoked buffalo meat that you got from your hunting trips. And also, Mary just got cholera, so you probably need those medicines that were in the wagon. So, like, rough times.
Rough times. What if you break a wheel? What are you gonna do? All right.
Did you buy any spare wheels, or did you choose like the carpenter option at the beginning of the game? No, because you chose banker because it has the most starting money.
Chose banker. Question. I zoned out a little bit because I got excited because there was a paper. Okay. So, is the point he's trying to make that
he's going to try and say this is actually dinosaurs stampeding across floodwaters during the global flood? I can almost guarantee that that's what he's going to do. Okay,
can we make sure that's what he says? And then if he does say that, then we can drink for you making a prediction.
Yes, we can.
And then also drink for Trojan Source.
Yeah, no, we can do that.
Fossil site in Western Australia, where many of the tracks are nothing more than scratch marks from what was obviously a dinosaur being buoyed up by the water.
Okay, that part is true. He's right there, so we're going to take a drink for him getting that right.
Okay, love that.
That is correct. That is a thing that we have there.
Clawing at the dirt as it swam along. Mm-hmm. This is one of many tracks found there and around the world. But all dinosaur tracks have water somewhat involved.
Matt, make a point. Make a point.
No, back up. Because he just said all dinosaur tracks have water somewhere involved.
That's broadly going to be the case, right? Because, like, let's say you step in soft sand to dry, like in a desert. What's going to happen to your track?
It's going to go away.
Right. But let's say you walk on the beach and the sand is just still wet from the tide having come out, and it's like near the high water mark. And then you step and you get a nice clean footprint. And then, if that water never comes back quite as high and it dries out,
then that
could get preserved. So he's right that generally speaking, good footprints require wet sediment, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be at a lake. It could be rain. It could be all sorts of stuff. But generally, you do have to have some water there.
Okay.
Every single one of the dinosaur track sites were made in what best can be described as tidal flats.
Matt, tidal flats. First of all, that's not true for your most recent claim, right? For $5, putting us actually finally on the board, which means we only have 14 more to go till I have to take one of these shots. Sapphire, Science, Nimby's Light for $5 says, AIG are a cache of flesh appendages that never knew the strength and certainty of steel. Amazing. Maddie, do you know the strength and certainty of steel bit?
Mm-mm.
All right, Maddie, after this, at some point, I'm going to have to send you what I think might be the best game trailer ever made.
Okay.
It's not very long, and it also is just the opening cinematic for the game. So, yeah, it's very good. In case you're wondering, the game is Mechanicus, which is getting a sequel here sometime soon, which I'm very excited for.
Is that a World of Warcraft game?
No, it's a Warhammer game.
A Warhammer. Yep. Sorry, I had to be like, wait a second. What did I say? I meant to say Warhammer, but that is not what I said.
Warcraft is actually, in some ways, inspired by Warhammer and not the other way around. Same thing for StarCraft.
Again, I would like to point out, my brain and my mouth said different things, and I don't see how I could be held accountable for that.
Yeah, obviously not. No, clearly. StarCraft also originally began development as a Warhammer 40,000 game, which is why the races are basically just the Imperium, the Tyranids, and the Eldar, except that they have a new coat of paint. Except for the Zerg, which basically are still just the Tyranids, and the new coat of paint is mostly just a new name. So that's fun. Yeah, like, Oh, hey, what's the difference between your Hydralisk and a Ravener? They have different names. Like, oh, okay. Who's been a member for 6 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says AIG equals a duffel bag of deceitful and dehumanizing dong, which, yes, they do. We'll take a drink. Thank you very much. I'm actually starting to run out of this drink because of all these gifted memberships.
Nice.
Jenny McGuire and Deborah Mickelson of Colorado University at Boulder presented a paper at the 2005 GSA.
Hey, Matt, thank you for not pointing out something stupid and racist like how impressive it is that you had women on a paper.
Yeah.
Appreciated. Because honestly, I would expect that from Matt. Him just be offhandedly sexist for no reason.
Documenting what appeared to be a trail of dinosaur tracks from a dinosaur walking and getting buoyed up by the water, more and more losing contact with the seafloor.
But Matt, what is the point?
Yeah.
No.
Can that not happen in a lake? Like,
okay, so is Matt's claim that the only reason dinosaurs would ever enter the water is because of a flood? Like, is that the point that you're trying to make, Matt? Because that's a weird point, because animals enter the water all the time. Tigers have been known to cross, like, 7 kilometers wide bodies of water in the water. Yeah. Moose.
Did you know that deer
in
can
the water?
swim?
Yeah, deer can swim. Did you know one of the major predators of the moose is the orca, Matt? Because sometimes
that's upsetting.
The moose go into the ocean to eat seaweed, and every once in a while an orca's like, you know what sounds really great right now?
Moose.
Venison.
Yeah.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
Why would dinosaurs not go into the water? Gorillas go into the water. Tigers go into the water. Humans go into the water. Humans just hang out in the water. Yeah, there are even domestic house cats that like going into the water.
I just stabbed my foot on something super sharp, and that didn't feel very good at all.
Matt, you gotta stop leaving sharp things on the floor.
I do need to stop leaving sharp things on the floor. What did I do?
Is there broken glass down there?
No, it's probably a sewing needle.
Ouch. You should get a magnet.
Ooh.
Just suck up all the sewing needles.
I should. Sorry, that was really painful, and I don't want to do it again.
I don't blame you. I'm gonna hit play though while you look for the sewing needle or whatever it was that might have stabbed you.
Okay.
Do you need a tetanus shot?
Oh no, I'm good. I'm up to date on those. It's a safety pin. There's a safety pin stuck in my rug, but it's open. So it's not very safe at all.
It's an unsafety pin.
That's an unsafety pin. Oh no, it's not a safety pin. It's just this.
What is that?
It's a sewing needle.
Oh, okay.
But it's like for embroidery, and so it's big and thick, and it stabbed into my foot.
Ouch.
So it's a good thing I'm up to date on my tetanus. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
However, the drawing that they depicted is not the reality of what happened whatsoever.
Okay, Matt, tell us.
This is more evolutionist storytelling and blatant lies to your face.
You know that?
Yeah, I'm very curious as to how he knows that.
The fossil footprints are in the middle of a series of rock layers.
Yeah, Matt, because they're from, like, the Jurassic. What?
Yeah.
That's what?
According to Steno's stratigraphic
It's normally pronounced steno in English, but sure, whatever.
principles laid out in the 1600s and still adhered to today, it would be assumed that those layers were laid down horizontally.
I mean, okay, so the law of original horizontality is less of a law and more of a principle. It's basically this principle in geology that says that all things being equal, sedimentation occurs in horizontal layers. But we know of exceptions to this.
Just like, generally speaking, layers get laid down like this, not like this.
Right. But we know that there are exceptions to that, right? Like, we know that at beaches, horizontal sedimentation can occur. Also, you know when rivers meander?
Mm-hmm.
And where the meander is actually concave, you can actually get deposition that's happening laterally rather than from the top down, which ends up with vertical or subvertical deposition when that eventually lithifies. So, like, we know of exceptions. So the principle of original horizontality is a rule of thumb, and when you see it seemingly being violated, then you have to investigate more. It's not like
Yeah.
the law of universal gravitation, where like we've never seen any exceptions to this, right? This is one of those things where it's like, you should assume horizontality unless you have good reason to think otherwise.
Yeah, listen, it's like if you don't do well on your ACTs when you're applying to college, like that's not good, but it's just something you need to explain, right? Like,
Right. You can still get in. It's fine.
yeah.
Joshua Geese for $5 says, sympathy for Maddie. I once found a smallish fishhook with my foot. Ouch.
Oof.
Oof.
Bless.
Yeah, and those are barbed too, unlike sewing
Yeah,
needles.
those are barbed. This one's designed to go in and out easily.
Yeah.
That
ouch.
just went kind of deep into my foot. It
Oof.
didn't feel good.
Narondiputz for $5 says, dinosaurs, like cats, hate water to the point of usually dying of thirst. The flood is the only explanation for them being in water. Yeah, basically. Is the whole,
Yeah.
like, why would a dinosaur ever be in the water thing is just so crazy to me. Like,
Yeah.
virtually all animals can swim unless they just can't move at all, right? Like, okay, coral can't swim, but guess what? They can
They
as
don't
larvae. So
Right.
even then, who cares?
Yeah.
This wasn't some seashore.
How do you know that?
How do you know?
You can't just say law of original horizontality and then say it wasn't a seashore, therefore.
The principles of initial horizontality. Strata, either perpendicular to the horizon or inclined to the horizon, were at one time parallel to the horizon, and nobody disagrees with this. Therefore, these
Yeah, there's a reason it's the principle, Matt, in the actual quotation from Steno, and the law in the random ass slide that you showed us. It's because it's
Yeah.
not really a law. Pegajace's phosphorescent pet platypus has gifted a Dapper Dinosaur membership. And Maddie, did you know that,
Cheers.
in fact, platypuses, whatever you want to call them, are phosphorescent? They actually glow under a black light?
That's so cool. Platypuses are the best. They're such cool animals. The
And
fact
yet-
that they're venomous. They got eggs. They're like river. You know, like listen, mammals that spend most of their time in the water like aren't as common as the other way around, right?
True.
They got a weird face.
You ever seen a platypus skull? Horror show. Looks like a demon face.
Amazing.
You should look it up sometime. You will not. You won't guess what it looks like.
I'm trying to think if I saw one once in Drawfee playing the bone game.
That would actually be a pretty good one for the Drawfee, draw the animal from the bone.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't already know what they look like, you wouldn't have predicted that that's what they look like. I'll just say that.
Amazing.
tracks were not made by some dinosaur walking into the sea, but rather the dinosaur was on flat ground in what is called a tidal flat.
Okay, but Matt, tidal flats aren't the result of tsunamis. That's what happens when you get a large area that has a low relief and that the tide comes in and out of.
Mm-hmm.
And tidal flat depositions, which I don't even know if this is one of them, but let's say it is, in order to detect that, you need to be able to see the tidal crossbedding, and tidal crossbedding has to occur over months and years. It's not something that you get in a single event because you haven't had enough tidal changes over the course of that time to establish easily recognizable tidal crossbedding, Matt.
Yeah. Well, and also if you look at, well, okay. Look at the image that's provided here, right? And let's assume for a minute that this is dinosaur trackways in the tidal bedding, right? Bold choice, bold assumption, I know. But what the first thing he was talking about was describing was seeing a clear distinction and a clear progression from full prints to tippy toes to claws, right? And then gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the picture that's here, right?
Right, this is a different location than the one he was just talking about in Wyoming.
Right, and this doesn't look like the one in Wyoming looked. Right? Because they gave the diagram of what it looked like, and like that's it doesn't look the same.
Right. It's very obviously a different site. Joshua Geese has just given $5 to say, when we just saw the legs running, it looked like ostriches. It did. And there's a reason for that. And it's that ostriches are also dinosaurs. In fact, I actually got a comment on my Kent Hovind debate. The thumbnail for that is, which one of these isn't a dinosaur? And the pictured animals are Caudipteryx zooey and a cassowary. And the guy's comment, clearly he didn't watch the whole thing, was neither of those are dinosaurs. Sorry, which one isn't a bird is the title, is the name on there. He said neither of these are birds. And I was like...
The ostrich?
My brother in Christ, one of those is a cassowary, a living bird from Australia. What do you mean neither one of these is a bird?
What do you mean? Yeah.
It's literally a bird you could go find right now. I don't recommend going to find it, because it could seriously mess you up. Although their reputation for lethality is a little exaggerated, in that while they are very capable of killing you in a millisecond, they very rarely actually attack humans fatally.
Okay.
So they actually rarely attack humans overall, because humans are smart enough to generally get the hell out of the way. Which means there's very few actual conflicts between cassowaries and humans. But when there is, they usually still don't actually go for like a disemboweling kick. They're fine just like shattering your shin bones.
Oh, thanks.
Which I'd rather have shattered shin bones than be disemboweled.
Bones.
Yeah.
By the way, team, this is water, so I guess when I have to hydrate.
I still have 2 shots here ready to dehydrate.
And as the dinosaur was happily walking along, the water came in and buoyed up the dinosaur.
Okay, what evidence do you have of that, Matt? How do you know?
How do you know?
Just saying Steno's principle of initial horizontality isn't going to cover it, because, as we've discussed, there are exceptions to Steno's principle of horizontality, because we know from real life that sometimes sediments are deposited in a non-horizontal manner. It's not terribly common, but when you're talking about a beach, it sure is common. I don't know if you know this, but beaches tend to slope down into the ocean.
Yeah. Also, like, what Stenos, I think what he was trying to get at was like, okay, sometimes you go and you see rocks, like you see rock that look like it's like all single layers, right? But that like bend up, you know, that were like, the rock was like folded,
right?
After lithification, and
you look at you with the $5 geology word.
Yeah, look at me. And so, like, I think what he's... Because, I mean, we gotta go back to, like, before science is a thing, right? And so we're just trying to establish, okay, this happens, then this happens. So, like, imagine you're looking at rock that's in, like, in a U shape, right? That did a loop-de-loop, almost. And you have to be like, okay, I don't think it looked like that when it was laid down, right? These are the principles he's trying to establish, right? He's trying to establish that, like, okay, it seems like rocks are laid down like this in layers, and then the bendy happens.
Right. In fact, usually when we have non-horizontal deposition, one of the ways that we can tell is that rather than showing signs of plastic deformation, it doesn't show that, and subsequent strata tend to be laid down horizontally in like a depression left by the non-horizontal deposition, right? We can actually tell by looking at the rock and examining it. Because here's one of the things, right? Most of geology is looking at rock, sometimes under a microscope or chemical analysis, right? So it's not always just eyeballing it, but looking at a rock and thinking, okay, what are the possibilities that could have resulted in this rock looking like this now? And then coming up with them, and then crossing off as many as you can, and figuring out what you're left with as plausible explanations for how that happened. And
it's literally like I get to see this small piece of a huge 3-dimensional structure, right? I only get to look at less than 10% of what's there, and I have to not only figure out what the whole full 3-dimensional structure is that I can't see, right? but then also figure out its history, right? So geology is difficult. And like some rules of thumb are good.
Hey, we have a couple bingos. So let's see. We've got,
Nice.
bingos from both Holly Unbiblical Blarning of Shlomo Hawk, which is a name and a half. And we've also got one from, let's see, I think Hollyhock.
Okay.
And Anonymous Pie, I believe.
Nice.
So, awesome. Oh, wait. No, Hollyhock is at Holly Unbiblical blah, 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 Hawk. Got it. So,
Yeah.
Hollyhock and Anonymous Pie, congratulations on your bingos. Near simultaneous bingos. But here's what we're going to do. We have been going for just over an hour, so we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to refresh my my Dark and Stormy here. My shots are standing by in case we get to the 15 or the 30 on the Super Chat goal. And yeah, we're going to be back in just a few. Maybe Maddie can grab another beer. Yeah, we'll be right back. And hopefully the toddler won't be out of bed. All right. back. Thank you for sticking with us. Those of you who did, which looks like it was almost everyone, I really do appreciate it. Now that we're back, I do want to start with a little bit of a commercial thing, which is to say, hey, this is how I am supporting the channel, is things like the Patreon, the channel memberships, super chats, gifted memberships, super stickers, super thanks, things like that. You guys might have noticed that a lot of YouTubers are making videos about how YouTube is crushing their channels. And I can't say that I've been immune to that. I don't think I've been hit as hard as some people are. I'm not seeing 50% drops in views like some people are. But it's been a little rough. And here's the thing. While it has not greatly affected ad revenue, because most of those views seem to be coming from people who weren't watching ads in the first place because of things like ad blocker and things like that. What it does mean, though, is that fewer people then tuned into things like live shows or bother to become patrons or join the memberships and things like that. Because while YouTube might not value views that are watched via an ad blocker, I do. Because quite frankly, I would give up all the ad money if I could convert a higher number of people to people who are just patrons and channel members, because that is where I actually am able to support continuing the channel. So, if you are here and you are watching and you are not someone who is supporting, but you can afford to and you value what I do, I would ask that you please consider joining the channel memberships if you don't already have a membership, or joining the Patreon if you're not already a patron. The Patreon starts at $1 a month. The membership start at $1.99. Over on Patreon, you can get a 15% discount if you join annually. Both of them give you access to my server that's just for supporters, which is, I think, one of the best servers on Discord. It's a very supporting place. It is a very welcoming place. And there are just so many cat pics if you're into pictures of cats, which, like, who isn't really? Just lots of cat pics. And also, occasionally, if you're into the other animals, we have dog pictures. We have lizard pictures and turtle pictures that show up sometimes because people have a variety of pets. So yeah, also you get early access. I just put out a video on early access today that probably won't be out until next year. Probably well into the year. Like, we're talking like March, maybe April is when that video might go live for the rest of the public. You could watch it now. You could be in the future watching 2026 Dapper Dinosaur videos right now. But yeah, if those aren't your things, there's also a merch store. You can buy some merch. There's also, if you want to help me get my videos out faster, you can render for me on my render farm with the instructions listed in the description. Basically, you just download the client, use the sign-in info, and then that will give me those render cycles that you're using on your computer to help me get my renders out faster. So yeah, there's a number of ways to support. And also, of course, just being here, hitting like on this video, sharing this video, or giving super chats or whatever during the video also really helps. In fact, I think this is the first time I've ever seen a YouTube audience show restraint when it comes to making the YouTuber do something that might make them a little less coherent. So I don't know how I feel about that, because on the one hand, I appreciate the lack of spite, but on the other hand, I also do rely on those kinds of things. So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. Mixed bag, there you go.
Also, if I'm being honest, I could use an excuse to just take a shot. Because, hoo boy, has it been a time.
Hoo boy.
Right.
Yes, you're referencing the horrors, I see.
Yes, obliquely, and we're moving on.
And we're moving right along.
Until it lost contact with the ground. This is powerful evidence that Noah's flood was true.
Matt,
it's really not,
it's
friend.
not, though.
No.
We have much more plausible explanations that you haven't ruled out in any way other than by saying horizontality. That's it. That's all you've done.
Yeah, and so where I'm at. Here's what you need to do, right? Here's what you need to do for this. Again, this is like why I really want you to take a rhetoric class. It'd help you, it'd help me. It'd be great. Okay, so we have a set of evidence, right? We have trackways fossils that appear to we have full footprints, we have tippy toes, we have claw marks, right? And the generally accepted explanation in the scientific literature is that this is animals crossing, like they're walking into a sea and going swimming, right? And you're saying no, it's not. It's the water level rising. Okay, so what you need to do, right, is explain one thing, right? Just one thing that, if true, would demonstrate that it had to be, or that hey, if they were just walking into the sea, then we would see X. But if it was an ocean raising up, if it was a flood, waters raising up, then we would see Y. So you need to find something, right, that only happens with one and it excludes the other.
Right.
Right? And saying that usually, like, usually sediment is laid down horizontally, except that we know there are specific exceptions, and a sea floor being one of them, right, doesn't do that. Right? So you need to find something else, right? And I don't know what that is because I'm not a geologist, right? But that's your job here, right? If you're trying to make the argument, the literature says X, but I think it's something different, right? Welcome to the scientific process.
Right, that's how science works.
That's how science works, right? And so, like, I don't know, I don't know. Like, maybe it's like, but I would expect to see, like, saltwater here, what if this was a freshwater sea? Like, I have no context, right? I'm making stuff pulling stuff out of my butt here for what it could possibly be.
Except you're at least doing a better job than Matt's, because your things are at least physically possible, which is a big advantage that you have over anything that Raw Matt is doing.
Yeah. And so, like, so that's what you need to show here. And it just needs to be really explicit. Like, if it was walking into a sea, then we would see X, but we don't see X, right? That's what you need to show us.
Yeah.
And you're just not doing that, friend. And so then you're not really engaging with the science. Like, that's why we talk about, like this is me talking to Raw Matt, like, he'll ever watch this, right? That's why, I mean, like you need to work on how you structure your arguments better, right? Because, the words you are saying do not support the point you are trying to make. Anywho, okay.
All right. So one thing is, I forgot to add in the super chatted money to the funding thermometer thing here. So that's a Dapper's a professional. So we'll take a drink for that. But then John Hopkins for $5 says, "I like turtles," putting us
I like too.
1/3 of the way to the first shot. And then My Unfinished Song, who's been a member for 30 months, says, "Hail Daps and Maddie, and hail Platypus Skulls," with a unicorn emoji. I was going to say a horse emoji, but no, there's a horn. It's a unicorn emoji. My Unfinished Sock for $2 says, "Don't talk out your butt, like and share instead." Thank you very much.
Really good advice, My Unfinished Sock. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna...
My fox has a little fish he carries around with a magnet on his nose, and I can't find the fish.
It probably got dropped when you stabbed yourself.
It didn't get dropped when I
Stabbed myself. It was under the rug that the stabby implement was in.
There you go.
Here's his...
Very cool. All right, I'm gonna hit play.
Not some dinosaur as they portray walking into the sea.
Oh, that reminds me. Zerolon did in fact find the figure that Ramat was using for the Dinosaur Peninsula. That is from an ICR article on the ICR website that was published by Timothy Clary. So I have not read that article. I might or might not, but that is where it is from. So thank you, Zerolon, who is going to be one of the Scots fighting off the cats.
Yes!
Especially in light of the fact that other dinosaur tracks were found in that area that were not swimming.
Okay, but in the area means a whole lot of things, Matt. In fact, if I were to leave tracks on a beach, and then I were to also leave tracks in a stream bed, I would have left tracks in the same area, but in different circumstances, Matt.
I also want to point out that he says, like, other dinosaur tracks. So I heard that as tracks from other dinosaurs, right? So I'm just like, yeah, the taller ones? Like, I don't...
Well, we're seeing here sauropod prints. That's what those 3 big ones with the weird claws that stick out to the side. Those are sauropod hind limbs.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're tall.
They're very tall.
They're very tall.
Josh McGee's for $5 says towards the first shot. Thank you very much. That puts us at 6 out of 15. Sorry, that's just an irreducible fraction. Oh, wait, no, it's not, because I can divide both by 3. That's 3/5. Or no, wait, that's not right. 2/5. I can math. Shut up, I'm having rum. 2/5 of the way. Math.
Okay.
Meaning, they outran the floodwaters in that area.
No, Matt.
No.
It means they're in a different area, so they're in a different environment, so there's no reason to think that they couldn't have been walking in shallower areas, because...
I think when he says area, this is a vertical layers.
Well, that's what he's showing us, but one of the problems that we have is that it's impossible to figure out what raw mat means, because what he means is rarely coherent.
And also, what he says is not necessarily related to what he's showing us. I have to remember that. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Ramat, please stop doing that. I'm legitimately trying to understand you.
Well, the problem is that in many cases, there is nothing to understand. It's just a word salad. John Hopkins for $5 says, my cat has learned that being cute and then subtly glancing over at the container of treats gets him what he wants. I'm in trouble. You are in trouble. Yeah. That's like when Maddie's toddler figured out that saying things like, I'm sad. It's a really great way to get Maddie to go running.
That's a really great way to push bedtime a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Regardless of the fact that she's probably not sad. She just wants to stay up.
Yep. She's just aware that I'm having fun without her. That's unacceptable behavior.
How dare you?
I know. She now, when I say night-night, she tells me that, like, I have to go to bed too. Like, you go your daddy's bedroom. You and daddy's bedroom.
It's only fair.
It's only fair. Bless her little heart. Oh.
As where this one did not. There's more evidence for this in Glen Rose, Texas. The late Cretaceous rock of Glen Rose, Texas, famous today.
Was it late Cretaceous? Oh, it was, but I try to remember, like, the Glen Rose. And that's one of those things, I think it's like early in the late Cretaceous is what's going on there. So that's why I'm thinking of it as early. Yeah, okay.
That would confuse me.
By the way, this is the so-called Delk print, and it's fake.
Oh, yeah, this is the fake one.
Yeah, so there's a few things. First of all, neither print is anatomically accurate, right?
Yeah.
This is what happens if you try to make a print based on, like, picture books of dinosaur feet and then looking your own foot from the top down. Also, it has numerous anomalies. For one thing, the depression on the big toe, I don't know if you can tell, but it's super deep. Like, super deep. Like, way deeper than it has any right to be. Also
that toes at a super weird angle relative to the other toes.
Yep. There's also that. Also, you'll notice that there's no ridge of sediment that's been uplifted around the print, which you normally get if you actually displace sediment. Because where's that sediment going to go? Some of it's going to rise up around your foot. So actual footprints tend to have a little lip around them. Also, if you push down into sediment, you compress the underlying layers and bend them. This just cuts through layers, which is impossible for a real footprint. So for many reasons, we know that this is a carving and not a real footprint. And we also know of a man from Glen Rose in the 30s in the 20s and 30s, who admitted to carving both dinosaur and human footprints to sell to tourists who were coming through Glen Rose because it was an easier way to feed his family than trying to farm through the Dust Bowl. Which, like, yeah, it probably was. So, you know what? Not going to put, a lot of shade there.
Yeah.
If some tourist has $20 to hand over to some guy for a fossil human footprint in the Great Depression during a famine, my guess is that the guy who carved those footprints has better use for that $20 than that tourist does.
Yeah, that's a on the scale of, like, is that good or is that bad? That's smack dab in the middle. I'm not to the point that I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, plus anyone who was scammed by this, probably dead.
That's true.
So, like, you know, sorry you got scammed by a fake footprint, but also, if you were looking for footprints, maybe you should have known what a footprint looks like.
Yeah.
Zerolon read the, Oh, well, first, Jillian Wren says, does Half-Baked Matthew know anything? I've yet to find anything that I can reliably say he knows.
Yeah.
Zerolon said, I read the ICR quote paper. It's just, why don't we find dinosaurs in X layers? Then proceeds to use the they ran away from the flood reasoning. Oh, okay. Got it. Never gets any real explanations. Well, yeah, of course not.
Okay.
For its so-called human footprints with dinosaur tracks.
Pibblepunk for $5 says, but Dapper, have you considered the god made it that way to trick us? I have not considered that.
I've not considered. But you know what? That does go along with the theory that Yahweh is a trickster god, which if you want to go with like inspired, infallible, univocal for the scripture, makes a lot more sense.
It does, actually, yeah, because there's a lot of times in the Bible where it turns out that God does lie. Or at the very least, sends his angels to go lie on his behalf, which I don't think is much of a distinction.
And also, if Yahweh is a trickster god, then there can be inconsistencies in the Bible because he was tricking them. He was playing a fun joke.
I mean, it does seem like occasionally he just plays a funny joke, like, haha, I paralyze your hip in order to win a wrestling match I'm losing.
Yeah, or even like that's like the stripey thing, right? Oh man, if you were a god, don't you think you'd want to trick people by saying like, hey, if you want your animals to have stripes, make a mate over there by things with stripes on them.
Yeah. Clever trick.
Yeah. That sounds like something an adult would tell a 6-year-old, right?
Or like a nuke would tell an Airedale on the aircraft carrier.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, okay, so like when I was little, and I was at my grandparents' house and I didn't want to eat a banana with a bruise on it, my grandpa just told me that that's where brown sugar comes from, and then I would eat that part of the banana. And I was a full adult before it dawned on me that that wasn't true, right? Like before I realized I'd been tricked. You know?
In case you're wondering,
I was thinking about that one day, and then I went, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, in case anyone doesn't know, because maybe there's someone not watching who doesn't know, white sugar, brown sugar, and molasses are just on a spectrum of what you get when you extract cane sugar juice and you start boiling it down. First you get to molasses, then if you keep boiling it down, you can get to brown sugar, and then you have to purify that sugar to get rid of all the other brown things in the molasses to get the white sugar. So no, they don't come from bananas. Although bananas do have sugar.
Yeah.
And also bruised bananas are perfectly safe to eat.
Yes.
There's just a little bit of extra oxygen in there. Yeah. Josh Wiki says, God equals Loki, confirmed.
Confirmed.
There you go.
It's
Confirmed.
the only thing that makes sense.
Yep. It's
By the way, this means if you're out of brown sugar, an easy substitute is mix a little white sugar and molasses, and you've got it.
You say that's a substitute as if it's not just creating more brown sugar, because it's literally what brown sugar is.
It's true. Yeah.
It's like, hey, if you're ever out of honey, one good substitute is to go to a hive and then squeeze out all the sweet stuff that they've got hiding in that beehive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I heard someone on YouTube today. No, it wasn't today. It was a few days ago. It was an unrelated video, so it was an ad read. And she said, I like to use this honey as a sugar substitute. And I was like, oh, no. That's just more sugar. That's not a sugar substitute.
Okay. Listen, I legitimately do not care like what other people's like dietary choices are. Like be vegetarian if you want, be vegan if you want. But there's a subset of vegans who won't eat honey. And I know a lot of vegans won't eat honey, but that is deeply confusing to me. But they won't eat honey because they're like, well, the bees don't consent to you taking away their honey. And like, but literally, yes, they do.
Yeah, they could leave.
They could leave at any time, right?
Sometimes they do.
Yeah. And they make more honey than they need because of the good conditions they live in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw some crazy, listen, it was on Tumblr, so,
wow.
you know, Tumblr. But somebody was like, no, to get honey, they kill all the bees.
No, they do not.
No! And they like, here's proof. Here's the crazy machine they put the bees in. No, and it was just like a centrifuge that you can take the like honeycomb, right?
And yeah,
and put it in a
honey.
centrifuge and spin it to separate the honey from the honeycomb. And they thought that you like killed all the bees. You spun the bees to death in that. And so like that's just wild to me. So I guess like I actually don't understand I don't understand the idea of like I'm going to not eat honey because eating honey like harms animals. Like it literally doesn't. You're gonna have to. In fact, it helps like raise your own bees, right? And they'll be happy. Make sure they're happy, and then use their honey.
The way you keep bees in your apiary is by making sure they have a great place to live and access to fresh nectar. That's why they're there. Because again, honeybees can just leave. Literally nothing is keeping there except the hive being at a consensus that this is a cool place to be.
Yeah, like they're not truly domesticated, right? They're fine without you. They're choosing to stay because you have a great setup for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That layer is...
Anyway, continue.
Okay, oh, this is great, right? So this is from a quote-unquote documentary from like the 40s or so, the 30s or something, right? This is very
that's
old.
what human feet look like.
So, one, they don't. But second, what actually happened was that because the riverbed was so dry, they painted in the shape of the tracks with water that they brought so that the contrast would go up. But here's the problem. When you do that, what you're actually seeing is whatever the heck the person painting the water on shows you. Yeah. Which means if you want to paint in toes... Sorry, I'm going to hiccup there. As in this case, you just can. And no one can tell you that like you shouldn't have or should have because no one's there. Yeah. And so this is a weird bit of like early 20th century anti-evolution propaganda.
Yeah.
That like
I know this isn't AI because I'm pretty good at identifying AI, but this looks like what AI thinks a human footprint looks like.
That's the other thing. It's like that's not what a human footprint looks like. What's actually happening there is a theropod, most likely an ornithomimid, there we go, is stepping into the soft sediment and sinking onto its metatarsals, which is the parts of your... Like, if you're a human, those are the parts that make up, like, the arch of your foot. But most dinosaurs walk digitigrade, and so that part of the foot is usually held above the sediment. But in this case, they're slipping into the sediment. And then, as they lift up, the remaining... impressions of their relatively slender toes are having the sediment fall back in and infill that area. And you can actually see right off what you can see is sort of the pinky and the toe next to the pinky on this alleged footprint. You can actually see there's a depression in the ground that continues up from there off to the right. Yeah, that's a toe print. Yeah, that's what that is. That's the remains of the toe print from the dinosaur that made this dinosaur track. Because this is a dinosaur track in Paluxy.
So it's a dinosaur track that somebody painted an approximation of a human track onto.
Right. And when I say paint, remember, it's with water. They're not going in here and vandalizing the site. They're just using water. So, like, I don't want to accuse the filmmakers of something they didn't do. But, like, yeah. So I'm going to take a drink for just, like... come on, man. Yeah. In fact, virtually all of the major creationist organizations have said that you should not use the Paluxy River man tracks as an argument because they are all of them have now become convinced that there is no good evidence of human tracks at Paluxy.
Excellent.
Is acknowledged by the evolutionary community as a tidal flat, except...
Yeah, but tidal flats aren't the same thing as floods.
Yeah. Yeah, those aren't the same thing.
Also, we're only 6 super chats away from the first of the 2 shots.
Also, it doesn't look like it by the thermometer on screen.
What thermometer on screen?
Oh, I'm watching stream.
Oh, you mean the donations thing?
Yeah.
Well, that's not counting up to when we take the shot. That's just counting up to the arbitrarily set goal where I have a fancy avatar in my next video.
Oh, okay. I thought that was counting up to shots. Okay, never mind.
No. We're at 9 out of 30, and remember, the first shot happens at 15.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Also, here's the thing. So yeah, so a tidal flat, not the same thing as flood. Right?
Not at all.
Would you call it a flood? No, because a floodplain is just an area that's often flooded.
Right. It usually undergoes things like either regular annual flooding or irregular but common floods.
Okay. What is a word or the word for a region that was flooded?
Spillway would normally be what you would want if you're talking about the aspects of it that were the result of the flood.
Okay, cool. So, even if this was a spillway, right? Then that is not proof of a singular global flood, right? That a flood occurred somewhere. Sorry, there's a fly in here and he's really trying to land on my face and I don't like it. Right? That a flood occurred someplace at some time, right? And even perhaps then that another flood occurred at another place at another time is not collectively evidence of a global flood.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then Josh McGee's for $5 says, one closer to the shot. And yes, we are. We are one closer to the shot. Which isn't a drink trigger, but Maddie, you're free to drink if you want to.
I guess trigger, but I want to finish this beer and open my next one, so
Fair.
I'm just going to do that.
That huge tidal flat covers
Matt.
Which is not a spillway.
This is the Western Interior Seaway and the Labrador Seaway. And you know what that is? It's a bunch of water where you said the Dinosaur Peninsula was. Smack in the middle of it, Matt. What are you doing?
Smack dab in the middle of it.
What are you doing? Why are you showing us this? Like, look, I know that you don't know what you're talking about, but you could at least make an effort to show us things that would support the things you're talking about.
This is like,
I don't know.
Can you draw a circle? Listen, this is like, can you look at a map and draw a circle over Montana? Right? And then can you look at another map and identify if the circle on that map is also over Montana?
Right.
That's it. That's all you got to be able to do. That's not hard.
Well, it is hard if you're not an American.
That's true. I guess that's true.
Because my guess is most non-Americans don't know where Montana is. It's the one that kind of looks like a face, the top leftish.
Yeah, it's cold Texas.
That is a weirdly apt description.
I'm not wrong.
I'm a little bothered by how apt that actually is. Huh. Okay. It is kind of like cold Texas, huh?
Kind of like cold Texas.
It even takes forever to get through it. I've driven
Yeah.
I've driven right across the I-10, right through that whole all of Montana. It took a while. Yeah, I've driven all of I-10. I've driven it from Seattle to Boston.
Wow. Okay.
There is not a single mile of the I-10 that I have skipped. It's not my favorite thing to do, but the first time I was doing it, I was rushing out to see a friend of mine who was out in Massachusetts who was in the hospital with cancer, and it might have been the last time that I ever had a chance. It turns out it wasn't. I actually saw him many times afterwards. But, yeah, I figured I should get out there ASAP, just in case. So I hopped in my car, and 3 days later, I showed up in Massachusetts.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well,
I've driven Massachusetts to Oklahoma once. That wasn't a good choice.
Pegajace's Phosphorescent Pet Platypus for $5 says, it was probably mentioned earlier, but what kind of rum is this? This is an American-made black rum, and I will be much more specific if a rum company decides to sponsor me.
Ooh.
Yeah, so hey, rum companies. I will exclusively drink your rum, assuming that it's palatable, if you offer me a sponsorship. And if you offer me a sponsorship, and I don't know what your rum tastes like, I will require a sample.
Hey, Dapper, I bet you can make a lot of really cheap rum palatable with enough pineapple juice.
You have a good point there. But I'm not going to recommend things to my audience that I don't think are worth it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sharon for $5 says, towards the goal, and then Godzilla. I'm going to assume that you are on mobile and can't do the emojis because you're on mobile, so I'll take a drink. All right, so that puts us 3 away.
Oh, sorry.
Switch to
I've now switched to a French beer.
French.
Yeah.
I
bought it for a very specific purpose. I wanted to recreate a French beer cocktail we had in France for my dad. And so they take, this is actually not the one you want. It's this brand 1664, but they do like a light, and you want that one. And then you're gonna take that beer, and it's not actually like a light beer like we think of light beers. It's like more like a white beer. From like what if you think of like a German white beer, right? And then you take that and you add in some lemon juice, and the most important bit is this bitter orange liqueur that is produced in France, and it's called Bière Picon. And it's really good, and my dad really, really liked it.
You might have to send me that recipe.
What's up?
I said you might have to send me that recipe.
I will. It's delicious, but the liqueur isn't like distributed in the States, so I had to have it shipped over from a shop in Belgium.
That sounds expensive.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad. And the cost of shipping didn't go up with the more bottles I bought, right?
Well, it has now, since the de minimis tariff exemptions have gone away. That's fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just had someone who tried to ship his daughter in, I believe she's in, I want to say Oregon or something. I don't remember exactly. But anyway, he's shipping from Austria, and he had to pay about 100% tariff when all was said and done. So that was fun. Yeah. We got a few things, and in fact, we actually got to it. So I'm going to read the super chats, and then I'm going to take the shot here. All right. So we've got from Prixie Volcano Purist Purple for $5 says, today I learned the water heaters don't like to live in workshops with varnish and sawdust. So shots with a Ghidorah. So we'll take a drink for that. Thank you very much. Sorry about that water heater. A Wandering Scribe for $5 says, I almost always lurk, but realized I was at 3 years. Well, first of all, congratulations. That's awesome. And thank you so much. And only ever found this channel because of the video you did for Vice Rhino with a mopper. So we'll take a drink for that. And yeah, that was under unfortunate circumstances, but I was happy to help. I don't know if you remember, Maddie, but that was when Vice Rhino needed to take some time off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a personal loss.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate. And I reached out and I was like, hey, is there anything I can do? And he was like, I need content for while I'm gone so the, algorithm doesn't crush me. And I said, hey, gotcha. I'll do a video. Don't worry about it. So, yeah. Then Josh McGee says, for $5, I once drove from Burlington, Vermont to Anaheim, California in 4 days. Naps are good. Jeez, that is a long way to go. But that gets us to the 15. So here is the shot.
Does that burn a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit. Ooh. Ooh, I can feel it. It's got a nice warm feeling. Ooh, I'm a little lightheaded all of a sudden. All right, I'm going to hit play.
A huge portion of North America. That layer has countless clam burrows from clams that were obviously buried alive catastrophically.
Yep, because that's how fossils form.
Yep. But also from the Western Interior Seaway, which is characterized, Matt, by low energy, shallow water marine deposition. If you want to argue it's a flood deposit, you have to actually go ahead and do that. You can't just say, well, it had clams. You know what isn't characteristic? Yeah.
It's not the same thing as flooded.
Yeah. You know what isn't actually characteristic of floods on land is clams. Yeah. Yeah. And floods tend to form in places where a lot of sediment gets deposited. So a lot of them form in catastrophes, Matt. But catastrophes with a plural there. Not one catastrophe.
Yeah.
Also, how come English only has 2 levels of plurality? Bring back the dual number.
Oh, okay. So there's a suffix for if it's 2 things versus more than 2 things.
Yeah. Semitic
Singular.
languages. Actually, Afroasiatic languages. Afroasiatic languages frequently have a dual number. Some languages have a trial number. You can have a different level of plurality for one thing, two things, three things, or more. I don't know of any languages that do more than that, but there are languages that have I don't remember the term now, but it's a plural that involves the entirety of the class specified by the noun. So, like, you have an actual grammatical plural for all of something.
Okay.
So you have a different kind of plural for saying, there are trees on fire over there, versus all trees on Earth are currently on fire, every single one.
Ah.
Yeah.
By mud, dinosaurs walked in that mud. More layers were laid down during the tidal waves.
Which would just cover and erase the damn footprints, Matt. You can't just put mud with footprints. You can't just put mud on top of mud with footprints and expect to preserve the footprints. They have to have time to dry out and solidify, and then different kinds of mud can be deposited that usually has to be softer in order for the soft stuff to wash out. In fact, here at Paluxy, because this is Paluxy, the overburden on the tracks is actually softer limestone on top of the harder sandstone, if I remember correctly, which is why it erodes preferentially off with top layers that don't have the fossils eroding far faster than the layer with the fossils, which is why they're visible. Matt, how did that happen? Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. Okay, so we have a bottom layer, middle layer, top layer. Let's just talk about that middle layer and top layer. Does the middle layer, with its trackways preserved, have to lithify before the top layer lithifies?
It doesn't have to fully lithify, but it has to be. Okay. It has to dry out to a large extent and at least begin. Which actually drying out is part of the lithification process on its own, right? Because lithification
we have to have started the process of lithification before the next set of things comes on.
Yep.
Okay.
And brilliant. Drying out is actually part of the process because most of what lithification is just squeezing the water out of the sediment so that all that's left are the sediment grains and whatever cementing agent is turning this from a bunch of loose grains into a rock, which can be gypsum, it can be quartz, it can be silica. There's a bunch of different things that it can. Heather, Shield Volcano Fan Coon for $2 says, does Matt know that clams bury themselves? That's actually another good question. I don't know if he does. Because Christians say that a lot, clams, you don't ever find them dead in the closed position, except that you do if they
do all the time.
If they died under the sediment, which they intentionally burrow into.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever gone clamming, but the way you go clamming is with a shovel, not just by picking up clams that are just at the surface, because if it's a clam at the surface, that's a dead clam.
Also, hey, funny story, I don't know if you've ever eaten clams, right?
You have to pry them open.
No, don't pry them open, right? If you steam them and cook them, and they don't pop open a bit, right? Don't eat the ones that are fully shut. Because those were dead. Those were dead before you cooked them.
Actually, I remember last time I was at a beach, which was years ago, but I was showing my nephew how to find clams, and the way, living clams. And the way that I showed him was, so you wait until a wave comes by, and you look for the spots where there's bubbles that come up from the sand. And then, where that is, that's where you stick your shovel in. You stick it next to that where the bubble was, and if you scoop that up, usually what you find in there is a live clam. And we were just putting them back, right? We weren't going clamming to go eat them because we were getting all these tiny little clams and whatnot. Plus, I don't know which clams are good to eat. I just know how to find a living clam at a beach. But that was what I did. That's what I spent, a good bit of my time at the beach doing, was teaching one of my nephews. I think at the time it was my only nephew, how to find clams at the beach. And he was very enthusiastic. And then I beat him at chess 3 times because I kept leaving open checkmate opportunities that he would never take. And eventually I had to just stop leaving open the checkmate opportunities and just take some of my own because, I don't want to play a 5-hour chess game against, 6-year-old.
Yeah. Listen, there's going easier on kids. Okay, so there's a difference between, letting a kid win, right? Don't do that. They know when you're doing it. And maybe not playing your best game.
Yeah. I mean,
that's true of any game, right?
You don't have to
Don't
go
on a
hard.
6-year-old if you're playing basketball, but you don't have to knock them to the ground in your try.
Actually, there was a time when I went super hard against a kid in a Warhammer tournament, but it's because he started cheating.
I was gonna say, but was he being a jerk?
So here's the thing. I warned him. I was like, hey, you can't. So what he was doing was when you measure your distance, like when you're moving a model, you can measure it from the front of the base of the model to the front of the base, or from the back of the base to the back of the base. But he was going from the front to the back, which was giving him an extra half inch or more on every movement. Which over the course of 6 movements, that's an extra 3 inches. That's half a move. That's half a turn worth of extra movement that you're getting. That's a lot. I pointed it out. I was like, hey, you gotta measure from front to front or back to back. Started out being nice. Then he kept doing it, and I was like, all right, I'm enforcing every single rule to the letter right now. And guess what?
Yeah.
Your orc army can't handle it. So let's go. Because I was like, no. And when I say it was a kid, it was like 14 or something, right? It wasn't like a 4-year-old.
Okay, yeah.
It was someone who could figure out that what he was doing wasn't appropriate. But also, it was a doubles tournament, and me and my friend walked into that store that we'd never really been in. We weren't a part of that community. And we swept the tournament, including the painting awards. And people weren't terribly happy that we just showed up and swept the tournament.
Yeah, that's fair. My sweet toddler got a game for her birthday, which is a very 3-year-old appropriate game. It has it's a wooden board, and it has different colored tiles on the side that are connected, so you cannot lose them, and they flip up and down, right?
Nice.
And there's a spinner in the middle that spins to different colors, and the idea of the game is you start with everything up, right? And you spin, and what color you land on, you can flip it down on your turn, and the first person to flip all of their tiles down wins. Great 3-year-old game. We're doing color matching, we're practicing taking turns, all kinds of good skills. That is not how my sweet baby wants to play the game. She's like, she spins it, and then usually the first one will do the color it lands on, but then, and then I get to spin, and then she spins again, and then she's like, that wasn't the color I wanted. So then she just moves the little spinner to the color she wants, and then puts it down.
Oops. Well,
and then I might get another turn. Who knows? We're in. It's her rules now.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. I'm gonna hit play. We're gonna get a little bit more of this dinosaur track thing in here, and we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
Then, the clams attempted to burrow their way out through those layers. The clams are found by the millions, possibly billions, all buried alive.
Okay, Matt, you're saying that, but this picture here is clearly not the Paluxy riverbed. For one thing, that's not the same rock. For another thing, we have what looks like extensive actual body fossils from some other organism here near the clam traces, which I'm just going to accept that is what those are, which we don't have at the Paluxy riverbed. So what is this? Because what you're showing me is not clams at the Paluxy River. Also, Max Cherry has joined the channel memberships at the diapsid level. That is the highest level we have. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's give a toast to
Max.
Max
I'll take a drink.
Cherry.
Thank you very much.
Cherry, I know how to read.
It's okay. All right.
The clams are found by the millions, possibly billions, all buried alive in the closed position, just a few layers above the dinosaur footprints.
Matt, a few layers above the dinosaur footprints is an entirely different environment.
Yeah, that could be a couple million years.
I'm taking a drink. Plus, we don't I've seen the footprints, right? We don't have a bunch of clam burrows going up through that sediment. We just don't. That's not a thing that's happening. I'm taking. All right, Maddie.
Yeah.
It is coming up pretty close to when we need to get out of here, but Max Cherry did just send 10 more gifted memberships. So first of all, we're going to have to take those 10 drinks for that.
Cheers.
So, yeah, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, And 10. Ooh.
I might have missed one. Okay, sorry, that's hard to do with beer. Oh, look at the
I
head.
agree. Yeah, that's a lot. All right, so here's what's happening. Maddie's going to give a quick update on what she's up to, probably including what she's up to on Friday. Then I'm going to give an update on what I'm up to. Then we're going to get out of here.
Oh, team. Actually, you, chat in particular, have I got a treat for you. So on Friday, over on Top Hats Off, we are going to be play testing a very stupid game that I have written, a TTRPG. That is called Scots and Cats, and you should pronounce that as Scots and Cats and Scots and Cats, right? And the premise of this game is that all 600 million cats on planet Earth are currently invading Scotland.
Of course.
Scotland has a population of about 5.25 million, meaning everyone in Scotland must do their duty and defend, yeet, kill approximately 114 cats. So there's the players who play as the Scots, and they have to yeet their cats. But then there's also the village, and that's your job. Guys, you, the village, get to play along. You have a separate mechanic, right, where you have to help defeat all of the cats. So you chat get to play along in some sense. So Friday night at 7, I'm GMing. We're play testing it, right? So it's going to be a little wild and crazy. We're figuring some stuff out. Dapper's playing. Zeralon and his wifey is playing, and then one of my like IRL friends, who is a player on OK Roll, whose game that he is in, Big Gay Orcs releases Sunday.
Ooh.
So that's coming up. So Big Gay Orcs episode 1 releases Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central, and then that's a 3-episode arc, so that'll go for the next 3 weeks. We'll get Big Gay Orcs episodes. I'm really proud of Big Gay Orcs, and the audio problem is resolved. My laugh no longer peaks every single mic. So that's great.
Also, Big Gay Orcs has a really cool map that goes with it.
It has such a cool map that Dapper made, and it's the background for it, and it's in the trailer, and it looks so good. So that's what I've got going on over on OK. Well, no, so Top Hats Off is Friday. OK Roll is on Sunday. So it's gonna be so good.
All right. So I don't have anything that's happening tomorrow, but on Thursday I've got 2 things going on. So first, at noon, we've got the premiere of a video that I am going to find out what it is because I don't remember. Yes, it's Mr. Biddle's Opus. Flat Earth Level Lies about science. So yeah, it's an hour and 5 minutes. So that's how long that is. That'll be at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Then, later on, I believe at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, although I do have to double check because there's a lot of time zones involved, I should be over on the FTFE channel talking about the fact that it looks like Steve McRae is making terroristic threats against trans people on Twitter. So, yeah, I'm going to be there with Chesh, Craig, obviously, and Planner Walk. So if you were a fan of any of those, then please do hang out with that. Although it is going to be one of those sort of downer streams, I believe. So, yeah, sorry about that, but it is... Look, I normally would not talk about Steve McRae. Ever.
Yeah.
In fact, you can go through, and I very, very, very rarely mention him. However, when he decides that he is now, quote, at war with transgenders... and that they should be given no quarter, which, in case you're wondering what that means, it means in a military context that you do not allow people to go away injured or to, say, be sold back to their side in a captive exchange. You literally kill all of them. That's what no quarter means. It's time to talk about that.
Yeah, we should have warned you. We're turning our alarms back on.
Just temporarily.
Silence.
So then on Friday, I will be over on Top Hats Off. I will be the one who is primarily producing that stream, as well as playing as one of the Scots. I should probably come up with a good Scottish name. If any of you have like absurdly stereotypically Scottish names, you should send them to me, and I will pick the most Scottish of all the Scottish names that I can.
Yeah, listen, when you're on FTFE's channel, he's welcome to come play. I know it's like, I think he's enjoying getting to go to bed, but like, he can come play.
Yeah. So then on Saturday, I will be back with Vishanti and Dr. Kip Davis, further talking about Brian Thomas and why it is that he thinks that the fact that someone from the Bible is named in a stele is somehow evidence of the historical accuracy of literally the entire rest of the Bible. Which is not how anything works. And yes, we're getting some trans pride flags in the chat, so trans rights is definitely something we support here. In fact, I was thinking about it. I was like, I think among the people on my server, like I think more than 10% of you are trans, which is way higher than the overall population. So like, hey, you're absolutely welcome to come hang out. And I suspect that the reason that I have so many of you wonderful people is because I do, in fact, welcome you there, which unfortunately is not something that happens in every space. So please feel free to be yourself over on my server. Unless yourself is someone who's like going to abuse people, in which case don't be yourself, be a better person. But if yourself is, just a cool person who happens to be trans, then absolutely do that.
Okay, there's a joke in Trans Starbird.
Workshop it. Get back to me.
Sorry, there's something there. I'm gonna work on it.
Next Tuesday, the plan is Jackson with Jackson. I will be contacting Jackson shortly, and also here in a few months, I'm going to meet up with Jackson in person. We're going to get seafood and go to the aquarium.
So fun.
Yeah. So I'm not telling people exactly when that is, but you'll know, because I won't be here. So you'll know, which also means I need to find coverage for at least one show, I think. So I'll have to work on that. Anyway, thank you so much. If you are interested, over on the Discord, assuming you have access to the Discord, we're going to be watching Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, which is, the fifth Godzilla movie. And it is one of the Showa-era movies. It is also the one that introduces aliens to the Godzilla franchise.
Ooh.
So, I'm going to just take a quick break to, turn on a fan, dump the second shot out because we did not quite get to the 30. We got halfway there, which is why I only took the one shot. And then I will be over on the Discord. So if you are interested in that, please head over there. Otherwise, please stay safe with the rest of your week. Have fun. I know everything's on fire, sometimes metaphorically, sometimes literally, but still try to have opportunities for fun, see your family, see your friends, whatever. Furthermore, ICE must be abolished. Bye, everybody. Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Ben Tovand, Tapioca Weasel, Arrow Dodger, Dan Sheedy, Eleron Teller, Phil Rivara, Ian Chen, Joshua Geese, Kelvin Brostic Van Manen, Landon Knoll, Regios, Sphincter of Doom, The Plastic Mouse, Volis, North Texas Fossils, and John Ackerman. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 10% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos, often 3 to 5 months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.